Hi, everybody. I am Sarah Michel, and this is another weekly challenge to God. Um, as always, these challenges I do every week or so, and I challenge God to provide evidence that He, in fact, exists. So I do it sort of like an experiment to see if the God, especially the idea of the intervention is God, to challenge the idea of intervention is God, the God that can reveal himself to humans, if he can reveal himself to me. I am an atheist. I believe there is no God, and I am here challenging him to demand him that he does appear to me if he does so exist. So this is the objective of these streams. It's not something I do to enrage or to troll religious people or none of the thing. It's not the reason why I do this. So let's see. I'm streaming. I'm going to talk about evolution and biology and why I believe the idea of evolution through natural selection, especially when we look at the mass extinctions that happened during the history of of evolution, presents a big problem to the idea of a perfect creator, especially the idea of guided evolution. So this is why this is the topic of this video. Now, one thing that many believers say regarding evolution, regarding biology, is that our body is perfect. One example is how Darwin talks about the human eye, the perfection of the human eye, and how that some believers say that how that could only come from a God. And of course, the issues with that is just by looking at myself, how I am wearing spectacles. There is no perfection in terms of the human eye. The human eye is not perfect. Now, it's a very beautiful, very beautiful organ that is an incredible light capturing instrument, but is not perfect. The fact that I have to wear corrective lenses is an example. The fact that we are so prone to optical illusions is another example. That this is not a perfect organ. And of course, looking at other parts of our biology, we can see that even though it's very well functioning organism, it does have a lot of flaws. And in the case of the amount of problems that can happen, like autoimmune diseases, for example, or cancers, all of these are things that challenge this idea of a perfect creation, of our bodies being perfectly designed. They are far from it, which is evidence of how it came to be as it is through a random process of evolution, with the body adapting to the natural pressures of the environment, as evolution through natural selection proposes. So this is a problem when we are talking about the perfection of the human body or the perfection of creation, because it's far from it. But there is another thing that I want to bring up in this talk. It's about the mass extinctions. The idea of guided evolution. If God is perfect, God makes no mistakes, and we had 5 mass extinctions during the history of evolution, how does a perfect being make so many mess ups when you have so many mass extinctions going on? It just is a big problem. If God is perfect and his creation is perfect, why wouldn't he just simply create perfect organisms instead of just wiping them all out every now and then to start everything over? Or if not to start everything over, but just partially start everything over and to reset the process of evolution. It's a big problem. Now, I don't like talking about specific religions in these videos, but in the case of the Noah's flood, that is a big problem as well. Like, actually, in the case of the Noah's flood, considering that it would be a punishment for God for deviating from His word or whatever, it does have a little bit more sense than this idea of completely guided evolution, natural evolution, as we say. Of course, the problem with Noah's flood is that scientific evidence completely contradicts it. It's impossible according to scientific evidence. And I recommend Aaron Ra's debunking of Noah's flood. I think he did a great job debunking how it is scientifically impossible for Noah's flood to have happened. So this is the issue that I have with the idea of a perfect creator that intervenes, of the interventionist God. The interventionist God for me is simply nonsensical. It's an idea that doesn't seem to make sense if you are to consider a perfect God. Now, if you are to consider polytheism, where gods aren't perfect and they are often fighting amongst themselves, then the idea of guided evolution does make a little bit more sense, because you don't have a perfect God guiding evolution. You're having perfect gods, and sometimes with different interests intervening in the natural process. So, of course, the problem is, especially in this case, to the claim of a perfect God intervening during the process of natural selection. It does have a huge issue and challenges, not challenges, it pretty much destroys the idea of a perfect God, a God that is perfect and supposedly perfect and still makes so many mistakes. So I've been doing now for 7 minutes, and no God so far has shown up again. I see the chat is a lot of people in the chat. I thank you all for following this stream, for being here with me. Thank you very much. Let's see if there are any questions showing up. Oh, not Ja, getting kinky as always. Well, guys, thank you all. Thank you all for following me. And it's been ending now the stream. No God, more evidence. God doesn't exist. It's ending this experiment. He hasn't shown up, as always. So thank you all, and I shall see you next time. Cheers.